Things have definitely changed around here. My goodness. Things have changed since when Nick Caserio first got here to now. And the speculation, the stakes are much higher. The expectations are a lot higher. And today, as we got in regular season mode and we put a bow on training camp, it was a very active day at NRG. We'll get into some things that DeMeco had to say, his rant. We'll get into a couple back and forths with Nick Caserio, his rant. We'll also get into some moves that the Texans made in regards to the practice roster, which I think probably went about according to plan by them. And we'll try to figure out this Joe Mixon thing. We'll also hear some takes on that. And there are some strong takes. It's all about the point of view. And it's very apparent right now that the Joe Mixon thing, it seems very bizarre. And it also feels like something more is going on. We'll get to that in a sec, but I want to start with talking about where things were when Nick Caserio first got here and where they are now. And what he said, I'll never forget it. What he said when talking about the situation that the Texans were in when he first got here was, he said process over results. And that was basically like saying we might not win games, but the process is going to be such to where eventually we're going to stockpile assets. And by the time we get in position to where we've cleared cap space, we've stockpiled assets, players are going to want to be here, coaches are going to want to be here, and it's going to be about wins as well. But I bought into the process over results, and I thought it was necessary. You had $50 million dead cap. You didn't have any draft picks. You were in football hell the previous years, and I bought into it, and I think it's kind of paid off because they are in a position now where there are expectations, where they have built a lot of depth. And right now, some teams are picking this team to make a deep run. There are some question marks, but they're picking that. So I asked Nick Caserio about the past era of process over results and where things are now. And here is what Nick Caserio had to say.
When you first got here, we were talking about process over results during the rebuild. How would you describe this phase as compared to where you were those first two?
Yeah, no different. I think our program is very process oriented. If you have a good process in place, hopefully it leads to good results. Sometimes good process doesn't necessarily lead to the best results, but what we've tried to do is just establish some level of consistency on a day-to-day basis, what we're doing on all levels, coaching, scouting, nutrition, player performance in all areas, and just get the right people in the building, understanding that it's a hard business. I mean, you're going to face some adversity. You're going to face, some stretches where things aren't going great. So you're either going to withstand that or you're going to wilt. We feel we can handle, anything that's put in front of us. And, I mean, that's what you want to kind of build. So you just got to focus on the process because the reality is, Landry, after a game on Sunday, you have to go back and start over, right? So post-game, all right, then you got to rebuild back up to get back to that same point. So you just don't go from one week to the next. So if you have good process, DeMeco and I both believe that strongly, and having good process, being consistent day to day. If there's an area that we can tweak or improve that can enhance our program, we're always going to consider that. And I think as long as we're here, that will be the approach.
I agree with that. The process does matter, but the results matter too at this point with where the expectations are, and with the bar that they've set for themselves. You've won back-to-back division titles now. You've had back-to-back 10-win seasons. So process over results is kind of it's the ship has kind of sailed when it comes to process over results. But and there was some weird stuff. It is the locker room. Be sure to subscribe and like right along. But there was a weird, I don't want to call it weird. It was interesting situation that played out in regards to Joe Mixon. And we have no idea what the hell is going on with Joe Mixon. I think we may get some sort of announcement or something like at some point. But we talked about Joe Mixon and what was going on. And I asked Caserio 3 questions. Was there a setback? How does he end up on NFI? And also, is he going to play this season? And listen to what Nick Caserio had to say about that, the back and forth on Joe Mixon.
Back with Mixon, or did Joe anticipate it would be this bad?
Yeah, I mean, with all injured players, kind of take it one day at a time, and so whatever their timeline is, we kind of handle accordingly. I'd say the players that are on PUP or NFI, I mean, they're out 4 games or 4 weeks, so once we get through 4 weeks, we'll kind of evaluate at that time.
Instead of PUP, was it something away from the facility?
No, I mean, it's not my call, it's the league's call. So you turn the transactions in, and they put the players in categories. So, I mean, that's how it's handled.
Playing this year, Mixon?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll take it one day at a time, and we'll evaluate those players after 4 weeks and kind of see where they are in their progression, and then make a determination.
Okay, so that was a non-committal. Joe Mixon may or may not play last year. It should be noted the Christian Harris situation, which we bring up time after time, they made it be very clear that Christian Harris was going to play last year. They didn't make it clear that he was out. They didn't make it clear that the injury was more serious. Instead, they let people just wonder if it was going to be this week or the week after or the week after or the week after. They did say, DeMeco did say he expected him to play that season. And I think DeMeco is really shook up. And I think there's someone in town that's just really, really in his head to where he's not making a lot of sense. I like DeMeco. I like DeMeco's culture. I like his passion. I like the way he coaches. But I think right now he just has someone in his head to where he's just not making a ton of sense. I'll explain that in a sec, but that brings me, going back to the results, that brings me to the back and forth with Nick Caserio on how this team handles injuries. And DeMeco will be asked the exact same question by DJ Bieneme. And I think that DeMeco handled this much worse than Caserio, although I do think there were some holes in both of their statements. This is me with Nick Caserio talking about the manner in which this organization handles injuries. Here's what Nick Caserio had to say about that.
Organizational perspective, like handling injuries and information and stuff like that, what is the approach that you and DeMeco take when it comes to injury information and players and whatnot?
Yeah, protect the players. So, again,
Okay.
I mean, it's not public information. So we're trying to do, again, because here's what's happened with injuries, Landry, all right? Everybody tries to make an extrapolation about when are they ready, what are they doing? Well, you guys said it was this number of weeks, then it was early, then it was later. Like, there's no good solution. The solution is protect the players and look out for the best.
Don't disagree with any of that by any stretch of the imagination.
Interest of the players. Take it one day at a time. Everybody's on a different timetable. Everybody's got a different process that they have to go through, and that's how we handle it. So, again, like, other teams may handle it differently. So we just do what we feel is in the best interest of the team.
And other teams definitely do handle it differently. But listen to this. This is where it kind of doesn't make a ton of sense. And this is where you talk about like the Patriot philosophy. And Nick Caserio, this is how they handled it in New England. But listen to this. And this is where it's almost counterproductive with two things that he says that aren't necessarily always aligned.
Differently. So we just do what we feel is in the best interest of the team and what's best for the players.
All right. For the team and the players is not always aligned. You can make a case that it's better for the team to make other teams think that Mixon's going to come back at any moment. Might not be the best for Joe Mixon because people are assuming that, the people that he just mentioned and all the talk. And it's also counterproductive because these are the first guys who will say, well, we don't care about the outside noise. but they're basically saying the whole manner in which they function is a result of the outside noise. That's ass backwards. That's kind of counterproductive. The team wants to win games. And a lot of times it comes at the sake of players. We've seen players shot up at halftime. We've seen players play hurt. We've seen a lot of stuff. So in negotiations, you get the team point of view, you get the player point of view. So I don't question DeMeco's intent when he talks about protecting players, but the team and the players, their best interest is not always aligned. And that's where you remember when Bill O'Brien used to have press conferences and Bill Belichick used to have press conferences, and both of those guys tried to copy the Patriot way. And they would say, we're going to do what's in the best interest, say it with me, of the capital T, capital E, capital A, capital M, the best interest of the team. Doesn't always align with the players.
And DeMeco has said this. He was a former player, so he obviously has a pretty good lens. I just think sometimes, there's an extrapolation that tries to get made about every little detail and about what a player is going through. Look, players are dealing with a lot, and I would say in a lot of cases it's very mentally fatiguing and taxing for that particular player. And who else, nobody else really knows what else they have going on top of their injury. So we're trying to be sensitive. Look, I understand you all have a job to do, and you're trying to get information. Like, we understand that. We respect that. But we're also trying to look out for the best interest of the players, because that's what we feel our responsibility is to them.
I'm not really an injury reporter. I'm more of like a voice of the fan, a broadcaster. I'm a radio guy. But I get what he's saying there. But I do think that if the player is going to be out for a long time, and you don't just come out and say this guy's going to be out for a long time, that it can be counterproductive for the player. I don't think Christian Harris was done any favors last year. I don't think the Christian Harris situation was handled in a way that benefited him the most. And that's where we talked about process over results. I think we said RIP to the process over results earlier today. I think you can also say hello to intent over results. And I'll explain that in a sec, but let's get the follow-up to Caserio about this, because I asked him about this scenario where a guy's going to be out longer, and he gave an answer.
I get y'all's point of view, but if someone's going to be out for 2 months and you don't say anything, then doesn't the assumption kind of work the other way, where people think, well, he could be back next week. He could be back next week. Does that kind of put the player in a tough spot too?
No. I mean, I'd say in the situations that we're in, I mean, the NFL, PUP are our guys. I mean, they're off 4 weeks. So let's see where we are after 4 weeks, and then we'll make a determination about the progress moving forward.
That's fair. And that is the way that works. But I think the team and the player is not always aligned. I enjoyed that back and forth with Nick Caserio. I think Nick Caserio is pretty decent at answering questions. There is some word salad every once in a while, but that's his point of view. The whole point is to get the point of view and figure it out. So I get what Caserio is saying. We'll get into the Mixon, how the Mixon absence actually works. We'll get into the practice squad breakdown. But after Caserio went at 9 a.m., we had a DeMeco Ryans press conference. This one was weird. This one got a little bit strange. And DJ Bieneme asked DeMeco Ryans the same question that I asked Nick Caserio. And this is where I think intent and result are not always aligned. And I did not know that DeMeco Ryans was going to go into a bunch of generalizations. And I've actually labeled this. We're not going to start and pause the DeMeco Ryans rant, because he gets rolling and he gets humming, and I don't want to interrupt DeMeco Ryans' momentum, because he just went flat dog. I'm a dog. I know him and Gucci Mane from the same town, although Gucci Mane left early, but he went straight dog. I'm a dog. And we know DeMeco Ryans loves he loves the players. He's a players coach. No one questions that. No one questions his intent. But intent and results are not always the same. You can intend to do something. The result might not be the same. You can also do something wrong and then claim that your intent was something else. We see it all the time. We see it all the time. People doing things that are counterproductive or corrupt and stuff. I'm not saying this is corrupt, but they claim that their intent is something else. So intent and result are not always the same. Let's hear DeMeco Ryans' rant when DJB Anime asked the question. And there's a lot of holes in this. I've trimmed it down to 6 layers. Let's hear what DeMeco had to say. I don't think he did a ton of favors for himself with this rant. Here was DeMeco.
We do for when it comes to injuries, and I don't, again, talk about the injuries much because I'm thinking about the player. Like, it's different for me. I played the game, so I can see all the news and media that circulates on everybody speculating. Well, it's not us speculating. It's everybody who's writing the stories are speculating. So it's more so of let's not speculate if you don't know the true information. And why is everybody so quick to find some story on a player when he's dealing with whatever he's dealing with? That's his personal information. I don't think anybody would speculate on the people who are writing the story wouldn't speculate on your medical situation, because would that be fair? No, it wouldn't be. So it's all out of respect to the players and the men who put the work in the locker room to grind and what they put their bodies through to be on the fields. Like, that's always the forefront of my thoughts. Everybody really doesn't care about our players in that manner. Everybody kind of just wants to write a story. And now in the day and age where we are with everybody wants to be first with a story, there's no repercussions for people writing inaccurate stories about players. You can just put something out and you don't really know the information. It's not true, but nothing happens. You just, take it down. So where is the old school reporting where people used to fact find, take time, really dig and find like the true accurate information on players? That doesn't happen anymore, right? Everybody wants to get it. It's the microwave society. Everybody wants it quick. Everybody wants it now. And that leads to inaccurate information. Well, I would just say that's Joe's business. That's whoever's business. And don't talk about it. Let him be at peace. Let him do what he has to do to recover and get back right to play the game that he sacrificed his body, time for. All these guys do that. So the speculation, it isn't from our end, it's from everybody else who wants to be first. And I get it. It's the clickbait. I want to be first. I reported it first, so I'm the best. Well, how is that helping our players? It's not. And it's inaccurate. And what happens to you when you put out an inaccurate story? Nothing. So who's the benefit from this? Our players aren't benefiting from it. Joe isn't benefiting from it. So what are we talking about here, right? So for me, it's always about protecting our players because I truly care about our players.
See, I hate that for DeMeco because I think he's talking about one specific person and it resulted in him just completely generalizing. And we all know this. Like it's very obvious what he's talking about. And he kind of goes on his tirade. I do agree with him, and I'm fascinated by it. I'm a broadcaster. I've been a broadcaster for 20 plus years. I went to school for it in radio, now in the digital game, go to the games, all that. I'm a broadcaster. I'm not someone who chases news, and I am fascinated by it. I think it's crazy how much ass kissing goes on with agents. I think it's crazy how one guy gets the story, and then all of a sudden, all these other reporters have the exact same one, and it's per sources. I'm fascinated by it. Y'all listen, y'all watch this show. We play Follow the Source. So I am fascinated by it, and I do get what he's saying. I do think that one of the mistakes that DeMeco made, and I'll get to this in a sec, is just extreme generalizations, which is one of the things that I'm very much against. I don't like generalizations in any form. I don't like them from a human standpoint. I don't like them from a political standpoint. I don't like them from a sports standpoint. I don't like them from a class standpoint. I do not like generalizations. I'm so anti-generalization. It's ridiculous. I hate it. I don't like it. And I think that's one of the things that DeMeco just did, to where he's kind of disrespecting Jonathan Alexander and DJ Bieniemy, who have nothing to do with this. Like the guy that asked the question, DJ Bieniemy, it was entertaining, and DJ's my boy, and I like Jonathan. I like Aaron too, but he kind of generalized. It would be like if a player got in trouble, and you've probably heard it, where a player gets in trouble, or an NFL player does something, or an NBA player does something, and then you get one jamoke who says, man, that's just typical NBA player. That's just typical NFL player. They're all spoiled prima donnas. They're all troublemakers. That's not right, because that's an extreme generalization. And that's what I think DeMeco did. And I don't think that's what he meant to do. And that's where we go back to intent over results. You can intend, and that's the point of the question. You can intend, and no one's questioning DeMeco Ryans' intentions, heart, anything. You can intend to help a player, but it can end up not helping a player. I don't think Christian Harris was helped last year by not saying anything. I think you could have said he had a setback. We'll see what happens. And that would have helped him. But intent and result aren't always aligned. I'm trying to hammer that point home. But the DeMeco Ryans thing that we just saw, and we didn't want to interrupt it because my man was flowing. He was spitting his fire. He was getting it off his chest. I just don't think he directed that the way that he wanted to direct it. But layer one of this is comparing players' injuries to media injuries is wild. It's actually silly. It's actually really silly. And I don't know if that's just kind of got away from him or whatever, but comparing that when you have to release injury reports, when it's football, when there's all the interest, there's all the money, there's the betting, there's the fantasy, there's fans. He didn't even mention fans. There's a lot of fans who would like to know a little bit of something about Joe Mixon. Like to compare players' injuries to media injuries is wild. It's almost as stupid as someone comparing their high school football career to what NFL players do. That's just wild to begin with. So it started out really weird, and I was like, man, where is this going? So I don't know what was going on there. Layer two, caring about players. We all know DeMeco Ryans cares about players. Nobody's going to question that. DeMeco Ryans cares about players. He's a player's coach, 100%. That's why players want to play for him. And that's why he's basically been a leader since the first time he put on a pair of shoulder pads. So nobody in the world in their right mind is going to question that DeMeco Ryans cares about players, and that's always going to be his intent. So I think that's very, very clear, and that's his point of view. No one's questioning that. Layer three is the example that DeMeco laid out is clearly Aaron Wilson motivated. So why generalize it? And maybe he's overcompensating because he just doesn't want to acknowledge it, but that's clearly what he's talking about. And he went in depth on it. And Aaron knows this, and everyone knows this. Everyone in that room knew what he was talking about. He's talking about the C.J. Gardner-Johnson injury, the initial report, which we talked about, where there was a torn ACL. It was a tweet from Aaron, and then Aaron deleted it. So he went in and he said, yeah, you put it out there, and then you just take it down and you delete it. That's what he's talking about. So I don't know if you just come out and point to him, if you're looking to him or whatever, but I don't think that needs to be generalized, because that's clearly what he's talking about, and that's clearly what he's upset. And he's brought this up a couple of times. So I don't think that Jonathan Alexander and DJ Bieniemy and a lot of the other old school reporters, and I don't know that DJ and Jonathan are old school, but it does exist. Like it does exist. There are a lot of guys who are still very old school reporters who go out there and get it. So I think he's talking about Aaron. And I also think Adam Schefter's whiny ass rant yesterday, where he's just basically losing control of himself, I think that probably annoyed DeMeco and some of the people in that building. And that's educated thought. I think they thought it was a really goofy rant that Adam Schefter had. But if you're clearly talking about someone, then you don't need to generalize it. Just say it. Just say who you're talking about. So that's layer three. Layer four is the extreme generalization that that doesn't exist anywhere. I get it, but a lot of times I also feel like the coaches and the players, they incorporate, and I think it might actually be appropriate these days. So I don't know that this is kind of, because I'm kind of going old school journalism too, but like I think they kind of lump in social media with like real media, and it's all kind of mixed in. Because as soon as something gets out, it gets aggregated and then it gets spread. And then even some people who should know better, like in the media, they take that aggregation and they react to it and stuff. So I think even when talking this out, the extreme generalizations are crazy, but it might actually be understandable why you lump all of that in. So that's layer 4. Layer 5, the Joe situation seems a little bit serious. I don't know if y'all catching this, but maybe it's a matter of being sad because something happened or whatever, but it seems like he and Caserio both kind of hinted that there's a little bit more to it. Look, it can't be easy for a football player to get injured, regardless of how they get injured or whatever. So it can't be easy. And I wonder if we get like some sort of clarification later on, maybe if they want to let the message be controlled by the person who's having to deal with it. But the Mixon situation does seem a little bit serious. It's definitely more serious than 4 weeks. And we really don't know what has or has not happened because they really haven't said anything, which I understand. That's how they want to handle it. Then, okay. Layer 6 to this. I think the general accountability statement means what? I don't understand what he's saying. Like that there's no accountability for being wrong. I don't agree with that, because I think there is. Like there's you get called out constantly. Like there's people who call you out. There's editors who get pissed off. Even in like the opinion business, if you have an opinion, people will call you out. So I don't know what he means that there's like no liability. Like just every single editor in the world is like, hey, shoot from the hip. And if you get it wrong, it's all good. I think that came across as kind of media ignorant by DeMeco. So that didn't make a ton of sense either. But again, my man was cooking. It felt like he was talking about one specific example. And as a result of maybe overcompensating, not wanting to say that, along with his passion, because he has passion, I think that he just kind of let it get away from him a little bit. But the one thing, as I've said, when it comes to DeMeco, he's a player's coach, and his intent is clear. The result of that intent, it doesn't always work out. Just like if CJ Stroud's trying to throw a touchdown and he throws an interception, then sometimes it just be like that. So credit to DeMeco for explaining himself passionately. Credit to Caserio for the banter. Enjoyed it. And onward and upward when it comes to Joe Mixon. We'll see what happens. But it definitely seems very, very, very interesting, to say the very least. It was nice to hear from Caserio and DeMeco today as regular season mode has kicked off. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. Let's go to the Super Chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
ESG Soccer says, these guys talking down to us fans and you media types. Lack of respect for the fans with regards to the injuries. Remember QB1 a few weeks ago. Yeah, and they handled that. They handled that to the point where it really didn't need to be a big deal. You could have just said, yeah, well, he's resting. You know, we'll figure it out. But they waited a few days to talk about the general soreness. So just kind of a weird situation there. Tate Rodriguez, shout out to you, my friend. Appreciate you. But yeah, we'll see what goes down with all of this Mixon thing. I don't really feel very good about it. Now the question is, how much does the Mixon absence impact the season? Like, how do you adjust your win total if Joe Mixon misses the entire year? I would say not really for me. I definitely think you're better with Joe Mixon, but I think this defense is so good that you're going to be in games. And I think if they truly believe in what they said that they believed in when they brought in Nick Caley, and they don't want to fit the square peg into the round hole,
Nick.
then maybe he can get a little bit creative there. But you would definitely like to have Joe Mixon, but I in the playoffs maybe, but like as far as the win-loss total, I have him at 10. I had him at 10 before, I got him at 10 now. It might be a little bit uglier. They might lean a little bit more on the defense, but I still have him at 10 wins heading into the season. But I would understand if you go up or down 2-1. We don't know what Nick Caley is. We don't know how this committee's going to look, but I still have him at 10 dubs, even without Mixon. It's just me, though. It's just me. The practice squad breakdown. We had some news in that regard, and I thought this was actually a really good situation with the practice squad. I think it went pretty well for them, actually. I think that if you would have asked, what do you guys want to happen? I think pretty much like most of the stuff they wanted to happen kind of happened. Now, maybe there was a scenario where they wanted Yeast back. He ended up, I think, with the Bengals. But if you look at their practice squad, they got Damon Arnett, which I don't know if you should be comfortable with him playing in a real game, playing significant snaps, but he remains around. Good for him. Trent Brown, who they obviously wanted to bring back. See what happens with him. I think they would look at him as a reserve, probably on the right side. I think the left side is kind of done, but who knows? Maybe a swing. Trent Brown. Harrison Bryant, they brought back after releasing, so they got him. Miles Bryant, who was backing up in the nickel and then played some safety, he's back. The Birdman, they got to keep him around. I know they're happy about that.
What happened to that boy?
Eli Cox, hopefully that doesn't happen in a real game. Jakob Johnson, I could easily see scenario where Jakob Johnson gets elevated at some point. Jawar Jordan, after a good camp, they got him back. So the running back situation, if they want to look at someone else who had a good camp, they got that. Luke Lachey, the rookie, he's back. So he can kind of develop. Casey Osai, who looked like a capable special teams guy and seemed like he improved on defense. The rookie out of Louisiana, the brother of Joseph. Junior Tafuna, you want to talk about a dog? A guy who walked barefoot when it was 105 degrees. I'm going to tell this story for the remainder of his career, but he was walking barefoot on the cement before practice carrying his cleats. That guy is still here. Jalen Thomas, the tackle out of SMU, he is still here. Jared Wayne's back. I know a lot of you people, not big Jared Wayne fans, y'all are still mad about the Tank Dell thing. Y'all just can't forgive and forget. But Jared Wayne, they cannot quit him. They cannot quit Jared Wayne. He is back. And then you have Jackson Woodard, the kid out of UNLV, Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. He's back. And then Ndebisi, I don't know if I said it right, the big mofo. He's back, and he doesn't even count because he's international. And he looked like he was kind of improving a little bit. It looked like they were getting a little bit out of him. Looked like a project early, but he looked like he got better. I actually saw him even get a sack and do a little dance in the last preseason game. So the practice squad, I think, probably went according to plan for them, and they got to bring back a lot of guys who they did. So they were able to keep Graham Mertz. And they were able to keep that third quarterback, which I know means a lot to them. Let's hear something else from DeMeco. And I want you to put your predictions in the chat. This is a situation where I'm going to call on the chat to give your predictions. I don't want you to think too much. I just want the predictions from you. So you heard what Joe Mixon, or what Nick Caserio said about Joe Mixon, and he was very non-committal on Joe Mixon playing this year. Wouldn't say yes. Here's DeMeco being asked that same question.
My expectation is for Joe, we're taking it one day at a time, and when he's ready to be back, he'll be back.
All right. How many games do you think Joe Mixon misses? If this were just a game, like how many games would you guess that Joe Mixon misses? And this is probably what DeMeco doesn't like, and Caserio. But if you were betting, how many games would you think that Joe Mixon is going to miss? We got 10, 8, 10, 8. So about that range, 9. 2's not even a number, Eddie. He has to miss at least 4. So Eddie, you're fired. Put yourself in timeout, please, Eddie. Trey says at least 8. So we have all regular season, which wouldn't shock me. 10 is diabolical DQ. Okay, so that's what we got. Yeah, it doesn't feel like he's going to play a lot. And DeMeco was also asked about the Joe Mixon thing. And here we go, one day at a time. That's the theme of the day.
For Joe's situation, Sarge, we just take it one day at a time. And, Joe has played a lot of football. And whenever that time comes for Joe to be back and get back in the fold, it won't be anything revolutionary that he hasn't seen before, he hasn't done from the football perspective. Joe's an outstanding football player. So whenever that time comes, I feel like he'll have a very easy transition back to football.
Is your expectation that at some point this year he'll be available to you?
My expectation is for Joe, we're taking it one day at a time, and when he's ready to be back, he'll be back.
All right, when he's back, he's back. Okay. So there you go. So that's what DeMeco had to say about Joe Mixon. On the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Rich Boy. Shout out to Rich Boy. He says, who's more likely to play for the Texans sooner, Tank or Joe? It's an interesting question because Tank Dell, I don't think plays this season. I would bet any amount of money that you wanted to bet that does not happen. But there perhaps is a chance that he plays next season, maybe, or tries to make the team. And there's a chance that Joe Mixon, if he doesn't play this year, his days as a Texan could be done. So I think that would be a solid bet if you wanted to make it. Like, they won't commit to Joe playing this year. So, I mean, who knows? But Tank is not going to – Tank playing this year would make no sense. I don't see that happening. And the other thing that I brought up is, let's say Joe Mixon's going to miss 10 games. He's 29 years old, 28, 29. He's kind of in that, for lack of a better term, awkward running back situation where you want to be fresh and you want to play football as long as you want to play, especially when it feels like, assuming that there's not like a massive inability to return to old form, you got some good football in front of you. From his perspective, does he want to waste it? Like, does he want to risk it? I mean, you could say yes, you could say no, but I think that's something that he would have to figure out. And it would probably be a situation where he would want to make sure, y'all aren't going to take any of my money, are you? Because that's what you can do on the NFI. You can take some money. So if you're taking his money and then you want him to go out there and play, that might be something he's not going to want to do. So that's another thing is from Mixon's perspective. We just act like he's just going to rush out there. He's at the point where he's on the final stretch of the career. So he's got to figure that out. So from his POV, does it make sense for him to come back? That's another question when it comes to the Mixon thing. No doubt about that. So who knows how he handles that. Now, something else that I think needs to be kind of mentioned, and I've always talked about when coaches, players kind of tell fibs at the podium, I've always kind of talked about how I don't mind anyone lying with a purpose. It doesn't matter. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't matter to me because it's just about understanding points of view. It's not a gang situation. Like DeMeco feeling the way he feels, Caserio feeling the way he feels, fans feeling the different ways that they feel. It's cool. It's a POV type of thing. It's why this stuff is so popular. It's why there's so much interest. But sometimes lies get exposed. And I think today, between what we heard from DeMeco and what we heard from Caserio, I won't even say lie. That's too dramatic. We'll call them fibs. Although lies do not offend me. If you lie with a purpose, that's okay. Like the dog ate my homework is not, it's the only reason that it's stupid is because it's a dumb lie. Like you should go to school and you should say, man, I left my backpack in my dad's car. He had to go to work early. So by the time I went out there, my mom was taking me to school and my dad had my homework in his car. And as a result, I couldn't get my homework here. I'm sorry, teacher. I have no idea. Or I don't know, like there was a flood in the house and my homework got destroyed. Something like that. Like that's a better lie than the dog ate my homework. So I don't care about lying. Why would you tell us everything? That would be crazy. I think there's like competitive advantage type of thing. I think there's also a little bit of an elitist thing when it comes to DeMeco. I think it's players over everything. Maybe not elitist, but like, hey, us versus the world. That's kind of a bunker mentality that football coaches have. Same with Caserio, the Patriots, the hardo nature of football. It kind of happens. So you naturally, sometimes too much, sometimes you kind of get a little bit too gassed up, but sometimes it's like us against the world. I get it. Like, and people from Houston definitely get it. It's one of those things. But the biggest fib that these guys have told, that they've completely exposed themselves to, is we don't pay attention to the outside noise. What? Y'all can never say that again. Like DeMeco Ryans can never, with what DeMeco Ryans said today and what Caserio said, they basically said that their whole approach to injuries, all this, is based on outside noise. Like that's literally what they said. They talked about opinions and people saying this and people speculating and all that. So you people, I do mean you people, the media, DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caserio, let's pour one out for it, Undertaker style. My goodness. Let's just pour it out. Here lies the notion by DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caserio. Born in 2023. Dead on August 27, 2025. The notion that they don't believe in the outside noise is officially dead. It's gone. Rest in peace. They can't say that anymore. You just went on a 3-minute rant about, well, people say this and people say that, and then DeMeco, it's dead. It's dead. So that fib doesn't work anymore. We don't listen to the outside noise is gone. We hardly knew you. DeMeco and Caserio can no longer say that. You always kind of roll your eyes at it when people would say that, like Bill O'Brien, I don't listen to the outside noise. And then you'd see him, how the hell are you going to say this? How are you going to say that? I liked O'Brien, though, like as a guy you have beers with. Had a couple with him. But he would always say the outside noise, and then he'd quote something that was said. DeMeco and Caserio, I actually kind of believed them a little bit for a while, but that's dead now. So the outside noise is donezo. It's gone. Rest in peace. We hardly knew you. Bye-bye. Biggest fib exposed. Hell of a day today, though. It was an absolute banger of a day. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. I want to check something else out. Some of the opinions. I'm not as active on Twitter/X. It's not productive. It's the streaming numbers are fake. So that's one thing. Like, it's fake. You know how many bots there are. Like, they're fake streaming numbers. They don't help YouTube at all. They don't help your YouTube. It's actually counterproductive. And a lot of times people are just there to talk crap. I'll go back and forth. I answer some stuff every once in a while. I'm not as active. But I do like checking in on some opinions. And I saw that DJ tweeted out the DeMeco quote. And I just want to check out some of the opinions from DJ's tweet and the opinions on the DeMeco rant. Because I always think this is interesting just to kind of see what some of the people think. So let's peep this. Some of the comments, always dangerous though, when you do this. But you see, DJ put this out. We have a couple. Translation, I had no clue what's going on. I would disagree with that. I think he knows everything. Someone says there's a lot of ungrateful, nosy-ass Karens pretending to be Houston Texans fans. It's always the dog emoji that is so mean on Twitter. You notice that? It says, any one of you saying anything about DeMeco being on the hot seat? Nobody has said that. Who's? I mean, you can find any opinion on X, but hot seat or somehow mishandling how he releases injury info on players on all caps, his team, are just outing yourselves as frustrated brats. I can't believe two people actually responded to that, but no one, DeMeco is not on any hot seat. Pat says, not being honest about it is what leads to speculation. LOL. That's all caused by him. He shouldn't be playing the victim. Okay. Someone says lots of good points, but there's a greater argument that all of the speculation is fueled by the secrecy regarding the injury. See, and the Astros had a lot to do with this. Someone says, I want my coach to be all about helping the players and not about helping the media. The media's opinion doesn't matter. Guys in the locker room opinion does a lot. W for Miko. But you can claim that you're helping the players and not be helping the players. That's the foundation of this. If you just believe what everyone says when they say what their intent is, it's about the results. I mean, you can do a lot of things with good intent. The result doesn't matter. That's just that. This kind of comes across as someone who would support him no matter what he said. So I get that. I respect the opinion, but that doesn't make it there. Someone says, good for him. That's why he'll be a great coach. He cares. He definitely does. H-Town Sports, there wouldn't be inaccurate information floating around if you just be honest and upfront about our players' injuries. That's an Astros fan right there. You can see. Love my Texans, but besides the defense, I don't think I'm ever going to draft another Texan player in my fantasy football league. That's probably smart, although I think Christian Kirk could be good value, and I think Nico Collins could be all right. Someone says, translation, if I wanted you to know, I would tell you. That's true. If this was my team, I'd do the same thing. Good for you. He's talking about Schefter whining. Yes, we said that. No one will leak information for him. Good for DeMeco. He's talking about ADEP, though. He's speaking a lot of facts, like it or not. WTF does that even mean? Him and Caserio are annoying AF in interviews. One says his season's over. Someone says, I don't see the issue. Joe Mixon got hurt. It was non-football related. How does knowing exactly how it happened help anything? Hugh TX Sports, CC Aaron Wilson. Someone says this is a BS answer. If they told us what was injured and how, even if they lied, there would be no need for speculation. They are creating the environment they're complaining about. Someone says Texans media is spending seriously too much time on this Mixon stuff. Give it a rest already to talk about something else. That's dumb. It's the number one story in town. It's one of the top stories in all of football. So that's just idiotic. And that's like That's that's less media savvy than the rant. That's dumb. Well, if y'all were just open and honest and stop trying to be so secretive with injuries, you wouldn't have these issues. That's a fact. Someone says he sees this all the time. I don't understand why y'all as a media team, we're not a team, we're individuals. Won't just stop asking. All we as a fan base, I hate when someone says we. That's an extreme generalization. Is it a dog too? Is that another dog? All we as a fan base really need to know is if he's injured in his return timetable, everything else don't matter. So you need to know his return timetable? They wouldn't give that to you. So I don't even get that. And then someone says the final one we'll read. The Texans as an organization don't owe it to the media to report on the players. That's true. Many people are suggesting they'd rather them be up front on the injury. Some even go as far as saying they'd be happier if they just lied so there wouldn't be speculation. Really? CMC repeat? ? Okay. So the point of that is to kind of show that, and I think this is important, that DeMeco's not really doing himself a lot of favors with the way that this is going. And we've already talked about like the intent. We don't have to get more into that, but I don't think he has 100% support. You'll never get 100% support, but there does seem to be a decent amount of people that kind of roll their eyes at that rant. Now, there's some that are going to defend and ride and die no matter what. Cool. That's awesome. That's good. Like he could do the complete opposite, and he could get the support of some of the people that are, not all, but some of the people that are supporting him. It's ride or die. It's gang. But I don't think he's like doing himself like a massive favor when it comes to this, which may or may not matter, but already proven that they do care about the outside noise a little bit. But I don't think anyone can question DeMeco's intent. So there you go with that. No doubt with DeMeco. On the chat, Todd the Show says Houston got too excited about Hannah rebranding the team. She had Cal throw up the H, and the fans bought in. Did you buy in when Cal threw up the H? Is that what you did you get like pumped when you saw that outside of the house? Was that like, oh yes, go Cal, throw up the H, wear that flat bill? Last Air Gaming LHG says the Texans are a player-friendly organization. They wouldn't recoup much money. They'll work something out more than likely. If you say so. I mean, if he got hurt away from I don't know. If you say so, I don't. I mean, maybe they want to keep it right. I don't know whether they would or would not. When it comes to cap space. Someone says, I hope the Jags don't win the division. I'm intrigued by the Jags. I'm intrigued to see what this Cohen fella's got. Very intrigued by that. Montego says, we can only pray we don't lose players to injuries. I mean, everyone's going to lose players to injuries. It's tough. It's a tough-ass game. Very dangerous. Very crazy. Christian asks, why was Nick butthurt earlier? I don't think he was butthurt. That was another thing. Like, people said that he got spicy. I thought he was perfectly fine. I didn't see anything spicy there. He's intense. He drinks coffee now. I think Nick might be addicted to coffee. I think that might be. I know Nick's like, he just picked up the coffee. I think he might be addicted to it. I think he's getting on the caffeine. I think it's like a good meal replacement for him. Allows him to eat even healthier. I don't think he was mad. Was he? Did you think he was mad? Let's see.
Mixon, or did y'all anticipate it would be this bad?
Yeah. I mean, with all the injured players, kind of take it one day
like
at a time.
Thomas.
So whatever their timeline is, we kind of handle accordingly. I'd say the players that are on PUP or NFI, I mean, they're out 4 games or 4 weeks. So
Not
once we
bad.
get through 4 weeks, we'll kind of evaluate it at that time.
Instead of PUP, was it something away from the facility?
No, I mean it's not my call; it's the league's call. So you turn the transactions in, and they put the players in categories. So I mean that's how it's handled.
Playing this year, Mixon?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll take it one day at a time, and we'll evaluate those players after 4 weeks and kind of see where they are in their progression, and then make a determination.
Would saying that a setback happened be bad for the player, though? I mean, wouldn't that give you some grace to the player? Because that's the other thing, like where we go back to, no, it's the word of the day. You might as well drink. Or you can puff, no pass.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
Let's call that Allen Iverson smoke session. No passing. Or you can be Jason Kidd. It's up to you. But would like saying that he had a setback really be bad if he had a setback? Like if he had a setback and let's say like it's not healing the way we originally thought, wouldn't that kind of help him? I don't know. I digress. But I don't think Nick was mad at all. I don't think so. I'm cool with Nick. I'm fine with him. He gave me an answer. He gave me his POV. That's it. LXCID Illusion says the whole fake media injury came from Aaron Wilson saying CJ Gardner-Johnson was done with the year for an ACL. Yeah, and that's clearly who DeMeco was talking about. Led to a generalization, but that's clearly what he was talking about. They probably don't know exactly when he'll be ready, so they don't want to commit and risk being wrong. They could also be protecting Joe by not revealing details about the injury he may want private. Yeah, that's a good point. That could happen. I would say they have a pretty good idea of what's going on though. I mean, maybe they don't know like how soon or whatever. They're not going to take anyone's media pass. Ain't gonna take no media pass. Frank Z says, on a positive side, this is huge for Woody to have 4 weeks to stack up those yards. You think Marks is going to be the guy? Or you think it's going to be Chubb? You think it's going to be Committee? Where are we at there on that? Where are we at there on that? You know, the other thing that I saw someone said, I don't have the comment here. You make a case that weren't too many consequences for Kenyon Green last year when it came to being wrong, or Shaq Mason. No, DeMeco said there's no consequences for the media being wrong. Didn't seem like there was many consequences for Shaq Mason either. He got his job back after playing the way he did. But I digress. Didn't want to bring that up. That's just kind of where it was. This was a banger, though. Tomorrow we'll get into a little more football stuff that DeMeco and Caserio said. We'll do that on SNL. We'll do it right here. They did talk about the roster. I think there's an interesting development. I actually wonder if DeMeco's greatness can be elevated by Joe Mixon's absence. Yeah, you heard me right. We'll talk about that tomorrow right here. Could DeMeco's greatness be elevated by Mixon's absence? I think the answer may be yes. Because make no mistake about it, we talk about DeMeco and we talk about everything that went down, everything that was said, the keeping it real goes wrong, all that type of stuff. Pretty good at what he does. Pretty good at what he does, especially in regards to his specialty. So there is no disputing that. I've been a DeMeco guy from the jump. So I think that the greatness could raise up a little bit. See what happens. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe. Tomorrow they're off. They're having a kickoff party, I think, which is like it's basically like a red carpet event for players and media. I'm not going to that. That's people who want free food and all that. And, hey, guy, what are you wearing? Nah, we're good. You chilling here with my girls, wife, daughter, dog. We'll be hanging. Not going to that. We'll be streaming though. And there's a lot of college football starting at 4:30. Let's just be honest. I want to watch all the games Thursday through Sunday through Monday because there's Labor Day. So shout out to all you people who get Labor Day off, getting that 3-day weekend. Nothing better than a 3-day weekend. Those of you that have to work on Labor Day, hopefully you get paid double. And hopefully you enjoy that. There's going to be less traffic. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Much love to all y'all. Appreciate y'all for rolling. Regular season mode activated, and my God, what a start.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.